Yes, folks, nothing is ever how it appears to be. The Black Lives Matter protests are not about George Floyd, they're about a Marxist takeover of democracy. And the climate change movement is not about saving the planet, it is part of a UN agenda for global communism. And likewise, Auckland's reduced speed limits are not about safety, they're about forcing the climate change agenda on its residents and, of course, raising tax revenue through speeding tickets. But Auckland is not alone there. Wellington, Christchurch and Dunedin have already done it, or are about to do it. Now, to understand what's going on, we really have to listen carefully to the people controlling this country.
This generation is a borderless one, at least in a virtual sense, one that increasingly sees themselves as global citizens. And as their reality changes, they expect that ours will too, that we'll see and understand our collective impact, and that we will change the way that we use our power.
We will change the way we use our power.
And if we're looking for an example of where the next generation is calling on us to make that change, we need look no further than climate change.
It must be pretty daunting for the government that you're a part of, as co-leader of the Greens, you're with in a government formation with Labour and New Zealand First. It must be pretty daunting thinking, how do we come out of this as a country?
Yes. Having said that, there have been economic crises and health crises in the past that we can learn from. I think occasionally when we have these things, excuse me, as we've rebuilt, we've made mistakes, and it's completely understandable that people just want to go back to the way things were before the crisis. But this time, I hope that we've got an opportunity to build back in a different way.
Yes, like reducing speed limits in Auckland, perhaps.
And so lock in a kind of a better future than the pathway that we were on.
Okay. When you say, I'll get to the environment shortly, but when you say you want to see a different pathway, how fundamentally different would you like to see? I mean, what are you talking about? Can you name something that you'd like to see happen?
Well, I mean, obviously as Minister for Climate Change, the pathway that we have been on is unsustainable. And if we're going to spend tens of billions of dollars on, pumping up the economy and keeping businesses intact and keeping people in work, there is a way that we can shape that so that in the future the economy locks us into a cleaner, greener future.
Yeah, cycles and public transportation, etc.
We have an obligation to act, and it would be irresponsible and reckless not to. Those are the words of Auckland Mayor Phil Goff after New Zealand's largest city declared a climate emergency today. Auckland Council is the latest to signal urgent action against climate change following Christchurch and Nelson last month. Mayor Phil Goff joins me now. Good evening, Phil.
Good evening, Lisa.
I mean, it sort of sounds like a good bumper sticker, but what does it actually mean in real terms?
Yeah, well, it's no good if it's just a bumper sticker. It's got to actually be converted into action, because that's what counts. I mean, what does the emergency declaration do? It simply emphasises the urgency of what we're looking at. And, that's already done by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, where the top international scientists are saying you've got barely 10 years to do this, or the results will be catastrophic environmentally and economically. So it's emphasising that point. What we also passed today was a climate action framework, and that's one step along the way. Our next step is to consult on that and then to convert it to an action plan where it sets out detailed actions that we can take as a council, costings of those actions, and what the source of revenue will be. That's what really counts in this, rather than simply the declaration.
Can you give me one material thing that you think will eventuate from this? One actual form of action?
Yeah, I think that the critical area will be transport and...
Again, cycles and public transportation.
The critical area in which the council will need to act
Yeah, and folks, keep this in mind.
Drivers are being forced to go slow in the Netherlands in a bid to reduce emissions.
Yes. Anyway, now to Auckland.
If you're expecting to drive around Auckland tomorrow, you'll want to watch our next story if you don't want to get a speeding ticket. Because as Emma Cropper reports, speed limits are being lowered on hundreds of roads across the region.
The super city that come midnight is slowing right down.
We're asking Kiwis to actually slow down a bit, take a bit longer on their journey for the benefit of the entire community.
And as of tomorrow, they're not asking. It will be a legal requirement. The speed limits on 600 Auckland roads and inner city streets will officially be lowered. From a bird's eye view, almost all of the CBD will be a blanket 30k speed zone. Some streets brought to a crawl at just 10 kilometres an hour. While on the outskirts of the city, hundreds of rural roads that are normally 100 will be lowered to either 80 and in some places 60.
Wow, 60 to 80. That means everything that gets delivered will be more expensive. Courier prices will go up, taxi prices will go up, grocery prices will go up. Everything that gets delivered will cost more. And this is happening when we really need businesses to survive. Which again raises the obvious question, are they really trying to sink our economy?
Kilometres an hour. And here's the sobering reality of how deadly speed is.
Speed does not cause all road crashes. It's not the major causal factor in all road crashes, but it will dictate the outcome in every crash.
567 people were seriously injured on Auckland roads last year, and 40 people died. The hope is to bring that number down to zero.
Absolute BS. It has nothing to do with safety. It is all about forcing the global climate agenda on New Zealanders and, of course, getting tax revenue via speeding tickets.
Will this save lives?
This will save lives.
Auckland Transport says the average speed around the city is 19 kilometres an hour. So come tomorrow, is it really going to make a difference how long it takes you to get from A to B? We drove down Queen Street around the block and ended up at the Sky Tower at the same time of the day, but at both speeds. On the left is 50 kilometres an hour, on the right is 30. It did take 2 minutes longer on the second lap, but that was only because I really got stuck in traffic. Other than that, on both laps, I barely reached 30 kilometres an hour, which is the reality of Auckland City. It is very slow to travel around as it is.
Yeah, so how exactly is reducing the speed limit going to make it any safer? Well, it isn't, is it? It's all BS.
And that's a more user-friendly and safe city the council wants.
Encouraging more people to walk and cycle.
Encouraging people to walk and cycle. So who do we have here? We have Waitemata and Gulf Ward Councillor, Pippa Coombe. So who exactly is she?
My name's Pippa Coombe. I'm on the Waitemata local board. I'm a local body politician in Auckland. I really support MMP because I remember my first election was under first past the post and how disheartening it was, the kind of parliament that we used to get back then that was dominated by white middle-aged men.
Oh, those evil white middle-aged men. And this is who she supports, folks.
Hi, I'm Barb Cuthbert. I lead Bike Auckland. We're the organisation that began 20 years ago as Cycle Action Auckland, and right now we're helping change Auckland for cycling. We do everything you can think about that involves cycling. We're here creating events, an amazing social media program, and helping the people such as Auckland Transport and NZTA to make Auckland safe for cycling by building beautiful cycleways.
Yes, beautiful rainbow cycleways. Now let's have a look at their events. Yes, folks, they are the people influencing Auckland decisions. But folks, I think something else could be going on here as well. We know there's a push for reduced speed limits right across New Zealand based on the same safety premise. So are they setting the stage for driverless cars, the ultimate government control?